Hi, I'm Peter Meredith, and welcome to my interview series. I'm the author of 40 gripping novels in multiple genres. For the last couple of years, I've been writing mostly post-apocalyptic horror, though I have enjoyed writing fantasy, drama, and pure horror. Today I'm answering questions from loyal fans.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Meredith, and thank you for joining us today for the segment of Meet the Author, Peter Meredith. Please bear with me because I'm definitely having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm not seeing the Zoom video at all, so I'm just going to keep talking and hope for the best. Of course, we have on here Peter Meredith, who is the guest of honor and author that is going to be answering some questions that we are going to ask him that we've collected from other fans. I am in charge of doing all of his marketing and advertising, and I'm going to be one of the hosts today. We also have on here Victoria and Monica. That was like a total blend of both of your names.
All the time.
They are two amazing admins that are on our Facebook fan club and do so much to help Peter out. So thank you for all of that, and thank you for both of you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will go ahead and start with the very first question. Peter, are you ready to go?
I think so.
Okay.
Hit me with them.
All right. First question I'm going to ask you is, what books are you working on? This question is from Kelly Davis.
I thought this would be like lightning round where you'd be asking me a question. I'd be like, yes, no. Okay, so I'm working, my 40th book I'm working on is a new series, and it's about, basically it's about the year 2021. A geneticist decides that after 2020, this year, that mankind has reached its peak and it's only downhill from here. We've gone as far as we can. He's really upset with all the hatred and the bigotry and the poverty and the war, the whole thing. He says we're going to start over, and he creates zombies to polish off humanity. But at the same time, he creates a serum that allows certain people, the people he chooses, to grow and become the best humans they can be. So you have heroes who are slowly during the course of the story become actually heroic. So you have Joe Schmo become sort of like, Jason from Jason of the Argonauts, that kind of thing. So it's a different take. You have, normal people battling to survive, and you have these others who are kind of growing in the middle of this zombie apocalypse. And some of them are excited about it because they weren't before. They weren't anything before. So that's the story I'm working on. It's called The Gates of Valhalla.
Very cool.
Awesome.
After this one, though, I may go back real quick and do a third book on Deadeye Hunt, because so many people want that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure that excites a lot of people.
Yeah, I really like that story a lot. I like that story a lot. So,
I do too. It's very, very different from anything else that you've written, I think.
And there's so many ways it can go still. You have so many options. There's such a diverse, range of places you can take with this. It's awesome.
right. That one, the world is wide open with that. And that's why I really enjoy that. Some of the other worlds, the undead world, it's our world, just, there's few people in it and millions of zombies. There's not much going on, relatively speaking. But in Deadeye Hunt, it's set 150 years in the future, so there's a lot that we can explore from a book angle, from a humanity angle. So
I'll love to see where you take those characters in the third book.
No spoilers. I already have my mind set on certain things. I have it generally, even whilst I'm writing book one or book two, whatever it is, what the next book is going to be, sort of sitting in my head. And that helps me to move the story in that direction.
For the new series, do you have any idea how many books it will be, or are you just gonna see how it goes?
I just wing it. Once again, this one has a lot of opportunity, since it's your heroes can grow, and the zombies aren't exactly, you have different kinds of zombies too. You have your basic deadheads, but you also have almost heroic zombies also. So they're almost demon-like, where they're growing at the same time, and they are much more powerful than our heroes, especially early on. So I'm setting up, battles against certain beings. So I like that higher plane aspect to it.
Yeah, definitely.
You've mentioned heroes, so I'm assuming it's starting out with more than one hero in this one?
You only see two to three basically to start with. And I don't know how long this book is going to be. I'm gonna have to find a cutoff point, because you know me, I can write all day and it'll be 200,000 words. I gotta figure out where to stop this book and go on to book 2. So we'll figure out. There's gonna be more heroes involved, including the geneticist himself. He's taken his own serum. He has different levels where his cult-like followers will take a certain level, because it only kills 15% of them. That seems like a big risk, if you ask me. But at a certain high enough level where they're really, they become this heroic stance, it kills off like 95% of them. So he doesn't give you a choice when the people who are heroes now, they haven't been given a choice. They were in fact given the serum against their will, and these ones happen to live.
Wow, cool.
Very cool.
All right, next question.
All right.
All right, I'll take this one. This question is from Trista Price. She asks, is there going to be a sequel to Sprite?
Unlikely. Everyone wants a sequel to Sprite, which is really nice. When people ask for a sequel, it means they like the first book, and it's just one of those books where it would be very, very difficult to do another, more Sprite, because she's such damaged goods, and she's reached a point where, she's become her own self, and to reintroduce her into another world may be too much for me to handle, because I kind of got choked up when I wrote Sprite a lot as well. And, it wouldn't be. What's that, love?
Yes, you did.
So it may be too much for me to handle. I don't want to abuse her. Give me Jelly Bean. I'll use Jelly Bean like you wouldn't believe, because she can take it and she can dish it back out. Sprite never dishes it back out.
No, she's very innocent.
Yes.
And
And I don't want that innocence to go away. So, all right.
Yeah, it was a hard book to read. It was very emotional, but super powerful. I mean, it really just took you into the mind of someone who's gone through that, or anyone knows, I'm sure, someone who's gone through that. And it's heartbreaking, but it's such a, really told it really well, really powerful story. So if there's ever a sequel, I'd love to read it.
Well, in order to have a sequel, you have to have an ending.
Right.
So it's one of those stories where I left the ending. It's rare for me to do this, but I left the ending kind of up in the air. So
Yeah.
What you bring to the table will dictate how you feel about the ending. I don't want to go into it more than that, but that will tell you, if I don't want to say if you're a good person or a bad person, that's not it. It's how you view life is how you'll view the ending of this book, whether you cry or cheer, basically. So that'll be it. No more spoilers.
Well, I don't think it's just how you view life, but also your own life experiences.
Right.
Really plays a part in how you take the end of that book and I can't say too much, but look at what happens.
Right. How you deal with the next week of your life.
Yes.
For me at least. So, all right.
Monica?
Okay. Our next question is from Cindy Elliott. Who would you have play Jelly Bean on screen?
That is so difficult. One of the reasons why Stacy and I go back and forth about writing a script for Jelly Bean at all is the difficulty in finding the perfect character. Because if you don't get the perfect character, you've just wasted, this great opportunity. So for me, it's Dakota Fanning from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, however long it's been, when she was a little kid. Perfect. Would have been perfect. Hair not quite dark enough. We can fix that. But her acting ability was so spot on. I see a lot of kid actors, and some of them have a bit of range, but it's really hard with kid actors to take that pure innocence and add 99% evil. I mean, insanity. She's not evil. So that's who I would have play. Those are very tough questions because I'd have to have people in front of me and just go, oh my gosh, this could be so difficult. As opposed to Captain Gray, you know, let me see 10 tough-looking guys. Let's see, you know, can one of you kind of cry a little bit and smash your fist into one another? Okay, we're good.
Lots of wonderful examples out there.
Yeah, Captain Gray's easy, but Jilly Bean's hard, really hard.
Well, I think whenever you pick child actors, it's hard anyways, because in my opinion, there aren't a lot of them, first of all. And secondly, they are still learning so much about acting. They're still really growing and developing. Not that they won't become really good actors, but since they have so much to learn and, you know, become more comfortable in front of the camera, which I don't know how they do it in the first place, but I think that also limits you.
Right, right. And since Jilly Bean is a 10, 11 book storyline, it would have to be chopped down a lot. You have to worry how they're going to grow, you know, and things like that. Because sometimes kid actors, they suddenly sprout up 9 inches. And it's only been supposed to be a month. You can't. Everyone else stand on books because this kid suddenly showed up.
Very true.
All right. Next
Okay,
question.
let's do the next question.
With granny glasses.
With the granny glasses. So my next question for you is, what would you say is your most crazy writing quirk?
Oh my gosh. First off, the granny glasses are hilarious because if you look back there behind Stacy, that's our wedding picture from 27 years ago. She hasn't changed at all. But if you look behind me, there's my wedding picture right over my shoulder right there.
Well, Stacy is the most stunning creature ever, with or without glasses. So we can
Yes,
all
she
just
is.
hope.
You are very sweet.
My weirdest writing quirk, Stacy, you want to help me out with that? I don't know if I had any real writing quirks. I sit down first thing in the morning and I write. Oh, okay, here's one actually that I don't know if other people do whatsoever. I will play a song in the background on my computer and it will loop for 2 months. That one song will loop. I may change it around, but it might loop for a week straight, and it's in my dreams. That song, and
It's loud.
and it's loud a little bit. That's because I have to block out all the kids and the voices. And
What song are you running now?
it is a please Lord please don't let me be misunderstood.
Oh, cool.
The Animals did it originally, but I'm listening to the Quentin Tarantino Kill Bill version,
Nice.
which is a little bit longer, a little faster. So
Excellent.
I like them both.
So what inspires the song that you pick at the time?
I don't know. It's a good question. Mainly because I will use old songs I've done before, and it doesn't work for me this time, or sometimes it will. So I don't know there's no inspiring. Well, I can't have a happy song when people are dying all left and right. That happy song by Pharrell. What is his name? Never mind. Next question.
Next one.
Okay, this is actually a question I am asking myself. Who was your favorite author growing up, and what type of book did you like? What type of books did you read or like?
That one was easy. My favorite author was Tolkien. I'm a fantasy guy from the very beginning. I've always loved fantasy. So pretty much the fantasy books of the 80s is Stacy's got her fingers way up there. I don't know if you can see.
Don't.
Anyways, so I'm a fantasy guy, and the fantasy books from the 80s, 70s, and 80s are just, for me, some of the best books ever.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Stacy's having problems.
I'm having problems with the video. Just ignore me. It started playing you guys all back, so don't worry.
Okay. So obviously The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, that sort of thing. Elfstones of Shannara, The Dragon Riders of Pern, all those books. Even Dune, though Dune is, it's this big, and I just want to skim through so much of it, but I still like it. I'm not looking forward to the new Dune movie. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. Awesome.
All right, Monica.
Okay. What made you want to become a writer, and what has most inspired you during your writing?
Let's see now. So I wasn't, but I didn't want to be a writer when I grew up. I didn't start writing until I was 43. And Stacy and I owned a lighting company that went bankrupt because of the financial disaster in 2009. And we went bankrupt, but we were allowed to keep a certain number of lights that we had to unload, that we were trying to save our business as best we can. And so Stacy, who knew nothing about web design, created a website, did all this work, but it came to a point where someone had to write new content for the website, and she was a little bit too depressed to do that, and she said, "You write the content." So I started writing articles concerning LED lights, and as everyone knows, articles concerning LED lights are they're the best.
Sorry.
So after about 5 or 6 of these articles, I got bored, and I wrote a short story, and I stuck the word LED lights anywhere I could, because you want the Google bots to still get in there, is how it works. And so if someone turned on the light, they turned on the LED light switch, that kind of thing. It was so stupid. It really was dumb, but I had to write something. And then it was Halloween of 2010. So I'm coming up on my 10th year anniversary of writing. And 2010, I wrote a short story without any LED light business whatsoever. And I shouldn't have written, I should have been working, but it was too late at that point. The business was tanking. And from then I wrote a book, and then another book, and then 39 books, and here I am.
And we spent our afternoon sitting on the porch drinking out of the bottle.
No,
Right. We went from working, I'd get up at 6, Stacy would get up usually around 7:30 or 8, and we'd work till 11 o'clock at night on our lighting business. And it was very successful. It was really great.
For a long
Problem
time.
is, when that hit, that was it. It was all gone. And we went from working all those hours, 15 hours a day, to sitting on
a lot of time on your hands.
yeah, we just sat on our front lawn drinking alcohol and watching the cars go by. It was crazy. But now we're back to working 15 hours a day again. Which is
That's
the
a
way
good
I'm not one for, I can't sit around too much. I have to be doing something.
Well, I see that you both love what you do, so it's really nice to see that kind of passion and time committed to all of this. It really shows.
You know what I love very much, thank you, Victoria, is how much Stacy is. I don't know if she loves what she does, but she loves me, and she loves what I'm doing, and she's doing everything she can to make that happen.
I've never seen a woman work so hard in my life. You are awesome.
What a turnaround.
I suppose you're right about all of that stuff you just, sweetie.
What were you saying, Monica?
Well, and it's true. You took something bad, something tragic that happened to you two with your business, and you turned it into something amazing with all of these wonderful books that you write. So, it's like a gift to us that maybe that happened, because now we get to experience your wonderful writing and
Yeah.
part of your world.
Right.
For us.
Out to us.
I'm happy about it too. I'm glad people like my books, but I like my books. If I wrote a book I didn't like, I don't know what I would do. I probably would not. I would just throw it out. I would never. I would stop early. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. What's up?
Have you ever done that? Have you ever trashed a book?
No, nope. And I'm lucky I don't do much in the way of rewrites or any rewrites. So you've been to read for me. I mean, I write it, and that's almost the finished product. It's
Wow.
edits and that kind of stuff, and I put it out.
I wish I could do half that. That's great. That's really nice.
Well, I think this was also a gift for you, Peter, because we had no idea that you were so talented in writing. And I mean, even though the lighting business was so lucrative for a good amount of time before it tanked, it wasn't like it was the most exciting job in the world. And
Right.
you love what you do now. So
It's true. It's true.
out for the better. There's a question on here real quick I want to answer. Matt Price asks, what kind of lighting, like for homes? And yes, so the LED lights were mainly Christmas string lights. This was way back when LEDs were really brand new. In fact, most of the retail stores didn't even sell them. We sold wholesale. So we did a lot of selling to the municipalities. So whenever you see a lot of lights, LED lights in the cities lit up for Christmas time, that's what we did. So we sold those. We sold them to garden stores or more smaller stores like Ace Hardware, that kind of stuff. But it was mainly that. We had actually started getting into LED everyday lighting. And we had also been kind of experimenting with the whole street lighting, you know, the big street lights that you see on your corners in your neighborhood. However, that actually was a good thing that it didn't work out for us. We had brought in some containers of those lights, and because it was so new to technology, we ended up finding out down the road that those lights that we did buy actually had a lot of issues, not the Christmas lights, but the everyday lights. So we could have really had a even bigger issue on our hands with that. It worked out for the best.
Wow. We're glad it did. Here we are now.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the next one. Christina Porter asks you, Peter, what are you bringing are you bringing the Undead series back? She misses Jilly Bean and the gang.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we did 10 books of Jilly Bean and the gang, and then we I don't know, she must have read Generation Z, which is the 6-book offshoot of that series. But I left the ending sort of open-ended so that I can, if I want to, go back and revisit Jilly Bean and Neil especially. Well, really all the people left alive. Yeah, I didn't Godfather it and kill everybody off, which is something I guess someone should do if they really don't want to write those characters anymore. They all die at the end. But no, so I don't have plans for it at the moment, but you never know. I thought it was going to be done after book 7, when basically when the war comes to Estes Park. I thought that was a great ending. In fact, I still have the book cover says the end on the paperback version. I got to get that changed. Still does. So get that before I change it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And but it went on for 3 more books, and then that 4th book. So, and then the 6-book spinoff. So I may bring it back. Probably not, but I might.
Do you anticipate having any other child lead characters in any future books?
Well, Deadeye Hunt, we have Corinna.
Right.
So how old is she in that book?
She's like a teenager though, right? Yeah.
How old is she? 13? So as for smaller, isn't that funny? I don't even know my own books. I really am fire and forget when it comes to this. I send it off and it's gone. I'm on to the next thing, and people come to me and say, oh, I love this aspect of your book. I'm like, when did that happen? I don't remember ever doing that, but that's all right. You might have read my book more than I read my book. But either way, chances I've written 40 books. I might have another child lead. I don't know. I like writing children into stories. There's an emotional payoff for that. I mean, you get hooked when there's a child involved. When it's just some dude, you can just kill him off, and we're all like, phew, that was annoying. But with a kid, you can't do it. Maybe that's the reason why I never have dogs in my books.
Yes, please don't start that. I can't read about the dog guys.
Have you read the Crusade books?
Yes, and I still have a bone to pick with you about that, but we'll talk later. I was only going to email you and yell at you, but it all worked out.
Yes. Except for the dog. Anyways, Monica, did you have a question?
Are we gonna?
I think it's Victoria.
Victoria should go. Yeah.
Sorry.
This question is from Betty Martin. She says, "Who's your favorite character that you've written about?"
It's probably Sprite. She came to me. You know how the lady who wrote Twilight says, she got in a dream or something like that. Sprite didn't come to me in a dream, but every day I'd wake up and not knowing what was going to happen. So Sprite sort of kind of showed herself to me every single day, as opposed to where I normally write a story and I'm thinking about it, what's going to happen, what am I going to do 2 chapters from now, that kind of thing. It's always sort of up in my head. Sprite wasn't. Sprite just came to me, unfolded, is the word I was looking for. Every morning I'd be like, wow, I wonder what's going to happen. And weird stuff always seemed to happen, or interesting things always seem to happen to that poor girl. So Sprite is my favorite character to have written. Jilly Bean is also a favorite because she was such a challenge. It's hard to write a genius character because there's so much involved. She can, even the smartest person does stupid things, but it's hard to write a genius character because it's rare that they do really stupid things. They can do odd things. They can do things that are, their character would do, but not stupid things. And, I'm a stupid guy sometimes and I make stupid choices, but she can never do it. So it's a challenge that I enjoyed. I would put her in a situation and then I would spend an hour going, how am I going to get her out of this situation that I put her in? And I'm not going to go back and change it. That's why some of the escapes and that kind of stuff pretty outlandish, because it took a while for me to figure out what she would figure out in seconds.
Right.
She would see it all and know it, and she would see the answers, but it would take me, like I said, lots of time to come up with the same answers as she would on a.
I spent days trying to figure that stuff out. Days when I was reading that series.
I kind of want to put it in certain spots, like those books where you if you choose your own adventure. So with the Jilly Bean, I want to put in like a stop. How would you get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
How would you? And then you would be, a lot of people would be like, nope, not even going to try. Because how she does it is different than how most people would never get out of the first thing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I kept looking up this stuff like, how do they know that?
She just knows. She remembers. So.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's Monica's turn.
All right. This is a question from Jason Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Your characters come from scratch, or do you bring together traits that you have seen in other people?
Oh, obviously, I like to think they're from scratch, that I don't walk down the street and see a person and go, that's going to be my next lead or whatever. But of course, their personalities and how they live their lives and what they're dressed as, it's an amalgamation of what I see every day. So most of them are from scratch. I don't like to pigeonhole myself and say this character has to be like this, though I have. Captain Gray was one of those characters where I felt, we're missing this strong stoic character in my stories. We had Ram, but he wasn't really strong or stoic. He had a lot of issues, and a lot of people for some reason think I'm mean to women and they're so weak in my books. I'm like, my guys are so weak. Neil is horribly weak in the first 7-8 books. I mean, he's terrible, and you can't count on him. He tries, but he's a weak person, but he grows, and that's what I like to see. My women character grow, but Ram was a weak right off the bat. You almost within a chapter he's running from battle, and so but I needed a character who wouldn't be like that, who was willing to stand in the breach, and so he was one of the few characters that I just sort of said, you know what, he's not from scratch. He's almost a stereotype. So
awesome.
I feel like you have strong women that grow in your books, from Deanna, Courtney, Karina. I mean, I think it's interesting how those characters have grown in there. So I would have to say that I feel like you do have really strong women that you don't think are going to be strong, and then in the end of the book you're like, wow, they were amazing.
Exactly.
Right.
Nailed it.
I always want people just to get past their own, what's up in their own head. And, because there's some people get raped and some bad things happen, but if you can move past that and not think that I really want to do this. I have, you've seen my reviews. Some of them are horrible. They think I want to rape women because my character, some bad guy rapes women. I'm like, no, rape happens all the time. I'm just putting that in the story because that is what would happen sometimes. Mm-hmm. But if you can get past, thinking bad thoughts about the author and just read the dang book, you should notice that, wow, these women grow stronger, over the books, over time. Sarah was actually very strong right off the bat. She's missing her daughter. Her parents are taken, basically being used as slaves, or actually she saves them by sacrificing her own body to the colonel. She, basically becomes a love slave to the colonel. And to me, that takes lots of guts. It takes a certain amount of toughness. She doesn't want to do it, but she does it for other people. A lot of people hate Sarah because the way she acts towards Jilly Bean. But I felt, not everyone's just going to take in and embrace this little know-it-all girl.
I
So
think a lot of women can relate to that too, because most women, we don't consider ourselves, super soldiers or anything. A lot of women out there in reality get forced into these crazy situations and they don't know anything and they just try to have to fight through it. And I think so a lot of people can relate to those stories like Deanna, who starts out, fairly weak, and really just comes into her own and learns how to survive and kick ass. So, I mean, it's a lot of us can relate to that, I think.
yes, I really like the Deanna character. She starts off, in a terrible position and gets basically dragged halfway across the country, more on her own, but trying to flee, that kind of stuff. But to become then governor in the Gen Z books and to do what she does, where she holds it together. She's the one. Without her, the whole thing would have fallen apart. But you have to wait. You have to give it time. So,
Definitely.
all right, next question.
All right, so the next one is for you, Peter. Are there any characters you wish you could go back and change?
You know what? I had trouble when I first saw this question. I looked at some of the questions. I don't think so. The one that jumps out at me is Cassie, because I get so much heat because of her character. But it's not I want to change her, because she is a real, very real person. If you go out in the world, you'll see there are many people like Cassie, and it's sad, but they're out there. But just the hatred I got from that character bringing her to life made it feel like it wasn't worth it. So when we talk about redoing a movie, that kind of stuff, I probably would chop Cassie right out and rewrite that character. And I wouldn't want to, because I thought she was a fine character. She's a real person. I wouldn't cut out any of my other evil characters, but because of that crap that's going on in the world, she is not can't be construed in fiction by someone like me, which is really the thing I dislike. As an artist, you should be allowed to put it out there. Trust me, you're going to get enough criticism just of the words themselves, not of the character or how people think I think, because I put a character in there. So Cassie's the only one. The rest, they fill their spots. They're part of the story. They move it along the way I like, which is usually at a breakneck speed. I like a fast-paced story.
Definitely.
I think most readers do too.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like an 800-page book of basically nothing. It's like, you're like, they go fast, things happen. It's awesome. I need like that. I'm a type A, so I need to have that constant, action going on. So they're just
Right.
great.
So when you read The Stand, I think The Stand was close to 800 books, the abridged version, but then he put out the 1,200 page, and I didn't get anything more out of it. So whoever was his editor and said, you need to cut some of this crap out, was smart to do so, because in that case, I love The Stand, the 792 page version, but the next version, I'm going, okay, it's nice, but I want to get back to the action. You've gone away.
So much of what he writes is very internal, and it's not really action related. So that's, yours are just so full of, constant things going on, and it's crazy, and people are struggling. It's fun for me. I like it.
It's fun for you. All right, who's next?
All right, I'm up next, and actually, I think this question was already asked, so I'm going to take one of the additional questions, if that's okay, Stacy.
No problem. Go for it.
This is for Monica, actually. She said, what type of process do you go through before beginning a book? Any special place you like to write, or any special,
So I forget who is the author. I think it might have been Hemingway, one of those people. They would, before they would write a book, they would basically go into training, like almost like a marathon. I forget who this author was. And I never understood that. For me, I am done with book, I type in the end, and if it's early enough in the day, I will write chapter 1 of the next book. There's no time in between, that sort of thing. There's no special deal I do. So for me, I'm sort of lucky that way. I remember when I wrote my first book, someone asked me, I said, you're going to sit on the beach all day and write books? That's the dream, of course. It didn't happen. But I said, I probably have 7 or 8 more books in me. I had no idea. So right now, I feel like I could write till I'm dead.
How much time a day do you spend writing?
Oh my.
Well, it used to be more, Stace. So before our grandson moved back in with us, I would
True.
Up at 6 in the morning, and I'd have my workout. I'd have a workout once in the day, and then I'd write the rest of the time. I'd have a half-hour nap. I always take a nap because my brain starts to get sluggish after a while, and then either 10, 15 minutes, half hour at the most. If it's a half hour or more, it means maybe I'm getting sick. But other than that, but I will write until Stacy tells me that I'm done writing.
Usually I tell him by 10:30 he needs to quit.
PM?
Yes.
Wow.
And right, I've gotten better. I've gotten better now that Ryland is in the house, our grandson. He needs someone, to play with more. So I take a break and be with him, and I know Stacy needs someone to be with her. So, but then I'll go downstairs and work. You should see us. Our time off is we'll go downstairs instead of working in our offices or whatever. We'll go downstairs and sit next to each other and work.
So true. So the TV will be on.
Yeah, we're relaxing.
His laptop on him, and I will have my laptop on me, and we will still write, or work. But usually at 10:30, we both decide it's time to close the laptops and cuddle for a half hour before we go to bed.
Yep.
You take any days off for writing? Ever?
Day off. I don't quite know what that is. Day off.
A full day off? I don't know the last.
Vacation stuff. Do you write while you're on vacation too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Christmas, I get up early. Everyone else sleeps in. So I got time to write in the morning, and then I'll steal away and do some writing. My birthday, it's like my birthday present. Leave me alone. I'm here to write.
Awesome. Busy boy.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Who's up next? Monica?
Yeah. Okay. So you already answered who is your favorite character that you've written. So I want to know, this is actually one of my questions. What was your least favorite character and why?
Great question.
Right. Well, Cassie is, once again, my least favorite character. I sort of hit on the reasons why. I actually liked Cassie, and when I wrote her, because when we're talking about weak characters, she actually comes out strong. Bad stuff happens right to her right off the bat when we first meet her. We don't even know her name, and bad things are happening to her. But she accepts it because she's that strong. She doesn't cower. She doesn't whimper. She says, do what you got to do. But I'm still with you guys. I'm not leaving. And it's terrible what she has to go through, but she does it. And she doesn't cry about it. She doesn't moan about it. In fact, she later in the book, she confronts Julia, or is it Julie? I can't remember, the psychiatrist who,
Julia, I think it was.
Julia. She confronts her and basically calls her a complete wimp because nothing, some bad stuff happened to her, but nothing like what happened to Cassie. And Cassie just lets it roll right off her shoulder. So in some sense, yes, I dislike that character because of how people look at her, but I like that character because she was the toughest character walking right out of Compton that I wrote. Just walk right up, and she's the toughest one. And yet people have an issue with her because she isn't what we all hope to be, lily white angels in the middle of an apocalypse. No, there's going to be people of all sorts. Another difficult character was everybody in The Punished was a difficult character to write. The Punished, not all my readers, viewers these days know about The Punished. I think it was my fourth book I wrote, and a very difficult book to write because it was a silent book. It's a story about a foster care home where it's basically possessed. The people there are trapped. People go in, the kids go in, but they cannot leave. And they're not allowed to make a sound. The kids aren't allowed to play. It's so rigid and strict. So writing those characters without them being able to speak was a difficult thing.
Do you ever get some comments from fans about characters they don't like?
I get comments from fans of characters who are mad when they die. But I also get people who they don't like the bad guys the way they're not supposed to like the bad guys. And so for me, I'm glad. I'm like, I don't want you to like these bad guys. I don't want you rooting for the bad guys. That would be about 180 from what I'm looking for. So I do have reviews where people, nastily say, I was rooting for the bad guys. Why don't you and go pick up another one?
You've had comments about Sarah, definitely.
Oh, yes, Sarah.
She was
Oh,
the one that kind of went both ways with people.
mhm.
Right, right. Because we don't have a psychiatrist on hand to see Sarah lost her own child and she loses Eve, and this whole time Jilly Bean is sort of taking up the oxygen of the group. Whenever Jilly Bean's around, she is the focus of attention from the author, but also from the readers and from the people around her. And people wouldn't in real life, and I take an unrealistic situation, zombies, and I try to apply as much realism to it. In real life, there would be people like Sarah who would have problems with people around them and would create friction, sadly enough. But then she turns it around right at the end, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, the last 5 minutes, they go, oh no.
Awesome. Cool.
We have a question from Alex Hughes that just popped up. He's asking you, are we going to see more Gods of the Undead? And I know that's a question I definitely have seen pop up multiple times.
I want to. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a Tolkien guy. I'm a fantasy guy, and so I make my living off of zombies. And I wanted to combine fantasies and zombies, and I came up with the Gods of the Undead, which I thought was a great story, and very few other people thought it was a great story. I got good reviews. People who read it liked it. I get, it's 4.5 stars, whatever. That's great, but I didn't get the numbers. And so I wrote the 2 books back to back. And in the middle of the second book, I'm realizing book 1 is just not selling. Zombie people, for the most part, like their zombies, slow and gray and, kill. And it's more about people surviving. And here I've created zombies that are unkillable. I've created, a different version of how they're created. I've created characters who, good guys who become bad guys or who become this close to being the worst character in the history of books, and I guess people don't like that. They like a little bit more of the tropes involved, zombie tropes. And so when I write, as you can tell, I kind of write on the edge. I write on the edge of the envelope, and sometimes you fall off the edge. And then with those cases, I really like those books, and I want to finish them because you're left with that cliffhanger of Eve is right there. You're like, whoa, what's going to happen? And then it's 2 years later. We don't have an answer, unfortunately. So, Alex, tell your friends and family, get that book out there. And if it starts selling, I am ready to go with that.
I would love to see a 3rd book. Those books.
I will probably put out a 3rd book minimum of that one and Deadeye Hunt, because I really like those stories. Deadeye Hunt, we're hoping that it gets made into a television show next year, late next year. And so we're kind of up in the air about where I should go with that, finishing it, where it should go. Because if I make it so outlandish that they're going, well, that will cost a ton of money to do, you have to judge these things. It's not easy.
Interesting. Cool. All right, Stacy, I think you're up next.
Nope, that was my question.
Oh,
From
okay.
Alex.
That was about Alex, or from Alex.
All right. Okay, here's a question from Trista Price. Is there any character modeled after your beautiful wife?
My beautiful wife, Stacy. Of course. I don't have one of those books with me. Actually, if you look over my shoulder right there, you can almost see that's the cover of the Hidden Lands. Do you have any Hidden Lands back there, Stace? So I what's that?
I'm looking.
I modeled Ella from the Hidden Lands off of Stacy because she's there she is. There you go.
There we go. This is the old cover.
That's the old cover. I've had 3 covers. And once again, I'm trying to get people to read these books. And luckily I finished that series. It is a complete trilogy, but Ella from the Hidden Land series is based not just her looks on Stacy. She's Ella. If you read the Ella character, you're like, wow, she's such a sweet person. And that is my wife. So Stacy just doesn't have any magic powers except for not growing old, which is one of her elvish powers.
As changed a bit in, I don't know, a million years.
I know. Look at that baby picture. It's so funny back there.
All right, hold on.
Here, you get the baby picture.
Oh, let's see it. Woohoo!
I don't know if you can see it.
Aw.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
Here you go.
gorgeous.
I see. I look like I'm 12 there.
You look so young in that picture.
you.
Still look young. You're gonna be 85 and still look good, so don't worry about it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Did good, Peter. All right, who's up next?
Looks like I am. Tara Hardesty Brunner. Her daughter, Brianna Nicole Brunner, is an aspiring author. She wants to know if you have any advice to the young and upcoming determined folks out there who want to become writers.
That's always the toughest question for me, mainly because I took a route that very few people can take, becoming an author. In other words, I just started writing when I was already an adult. So very few people can just, boom, put out a book and, be happy with it. So she should, I don't know how old this girl is. Number one, she should become a reader. She needs to really understand the written word from both sides, as a writer and a reader, because the readers expect certain things. So if you're a writer who hasn't read much, you don't know what your readers want, generally speaking. So I would definitely have her, she should be reading books every single day. She should also be writing every day. So one of the things I've talked to certain people about, wannabe authors, is a lot of times they have 8 projects going, and it's not impressive to me. It really isn't. It tells me that you're not focused. Pick your best project, the one you think has the most advantages in a story, and finish it. Once you're done, that's impressive. A finished novel is impressive, because it really is not the easiest thing in the world, especially to put yourself out there. Then you have to own it. So here's the other part. You go to the reading clubs, or the what are those things? Stace, what's my book club called?
Book club.
Book club. So I before the corona, I would infrequently, once a month, go to one of these book clubs where the authors would read our stories and that kind of stuff. And so often these people would never finish their stories, because I would hear the snippet of what they've got. I would say, that's good, it's bad, or maybe you should change this. But he would have 8 other people all saying, you should do this, you should do this. Very few of them said, oh, that's great, keep it up. And so I would, go to those book clubs or let other people read it, but realize it's your story and you have to own it. You have to really say, all right, I like what I've written, I don't want to change what I've written, or say, this passage is weak. I know it's weak. If I need someone else to tell me it's really a weak passage, a chapter, 2 chapters, or a character that makes no sense, then I'm kind of screwing up. So I don't know if I'm helping this little girl at all, but finish your story is number one. Is my number one.
And beta readers, I think, are huge. I mean, a huge help, because what we have seen over time, at least when you get the good ones, the ones that are really truly honest and will give you really good feedback, I think that really helps you as a writer, and probably help her too when she gets further along, just because it gives you that idea. If you kind of feel like there's a part that isn't flowing, or if they feel like it's not flowing, they tell you.
Right. So you have the other end of the spectrum sometimes with beta readers. So you have, in the book club, you have 10 people telling you what to change. And sometimes with beta readers, you have 10 people saying, you're great, keep it as is. And you're going, well, I don't know if I trust you. Not that I don't like you or anything, but as a fan, you might be saying, wow, I just love everything. And I need more than that. I need someone to say, obviously Stephen King doesn't have people telling him, this isn't working. You've got to chop down these words. I think it was Gerald's Game is a short book to begin with, but there's 12 pages of this a lady tied to a bed trying to get a glass of water. 12 pages of her trying to get a glass.
Oh yeah.
Come on. I was going, just get the water. I'm flipping through, going, come on, let it spill, do something, but we got to move the story along. And then it's exciting for like the last 3 pages and the story's over. So I need, every author should have someone who'll say, nope, this is not working. This is, you've gone off the deep end. You think you're too good, or you haven't given this enough thought. So when I first started out, it was my sister Victoria, my mom also. My sister Victoria, my first book, The Horror of the Shade, is the only book that I would say I would have rewrites in. And it wasn't rewrites. I chopped out like 3 chapters because, as nice as they were, they didn't move the story. And she told me that and it clung to me and said, all right, we moved the story. You do want character development, but you want it within story. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we need to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you one last question, Peter, that I saw pop up on the feed, and then we're going to call it quits because we have a game coming up here soon on the fan club group, and we want to make sure that Seamus is the focus for everyone at that point. Okay. So,
Sounds good.
Check out that game. It's gonna be fun.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So the last question is from Jason Reed. And his question is, how much of Jilly Bean was researched and how much of it is Peter's wicked smart? Now, Peter, before you answer, I'd like to give my little opinion on this because I think this is a great question, because I think Peter does an amazing amount of research whenever he does a character, their personality, location. He's really all about making sure that he actually knows what he's talking about, the place that the person is traveling to, et cetera, et cetera. However, my husband is incredibly intelligent. I've always said this. I always thought that he was, if not the most intelligent person I've ever met, then he is runner up. And I couldn't even tell you who that person is. He is incredibly book smart. He always blew me away when he was going through school when we were young, and how he would read a big giant medical book and he just need to read it once and it was in his head and done. And he'd ace his tests, and that would blow me away because I'm just the polar opposite. So I definitely think the smarts plays a huge, huge part in it. He has a lot of information up here.
Well, thank you, Lev. So, but when it does come to research, you have to do the work, because you'll get dinged so quickly on an incorrect weapon, especially. With the zombie crowd, they know all the weapons, every weapon. I don't know all the weapons, but these people know every weapon. Oh no, it's an 8-round magazine, 1 in the clip. You going way too. You can't do 7-round magazine. Who'd ever, So you have to do a lot of research. The FBI knows I do tons of research. The FBI knows. There's a list. I'm on that list. I don't know how many times I've looked up how to make bombs from scratch. And
Oh yeah, I research hanging myself all the time. Anyway.
what's that?
Oh, I've always researched hanging myself scene. So hanging themselves. So I look like I'm suicidal. Yeah.
Right. No, the FBI doesn't care about that. They're like, oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Have they called you yet? Victoria, how you feeling today?
If I do it or not.
That tells you how much they. What's
We
that?
constantly have a van, parked out front.
So for Jilly Bean, she's 90% research. But once again, it is, if you're, I'm a pretty smart guy. It is difficult to write a genius. It really is very difficult to write a genius. But it's, like I said, it's a challenge, and I enjoyed it. And the older she got, the more fun it was. Because she, as a kid, her genius was obvious. She's looking at shapes. She's helping Ram to get off that tether pole. And she sees the shapes and he doesn't. I mean, that's how the elementary level she starts at. And then she's teaching herself, math, and she's teaching herself surgery, failing. So I wanted, to see her fail at surgery and all that kind of stuff. Because no, it won't come easy. It's incredibly hard. The human body is gross and disgusting. So I wanted to see her grow, and that took a lot of research to learn everything about, I didn't obviously learn everything about surgery, but as much as needed to put it on paper. The same thing with bombs and all that stuff. You don't need to, get a master's class in plumbing in order to, figure out where the water goes. So you just do enough to make it seem like you're smart. And then you put it on paper and people think you can call you a genius. It's nice.
Awesome. I remember we were trying to learn welding, and I'm like, how do they know that?
Right. It's really just a mixture. Here I'm making it seem like it's so easy, but I think it's something a really smart kid could learn on their own if they needed it. So she doesn't learn anything that she doesn't need to know. There's certain times people will ask her something and she has no clue what you're talking about, but she knows how to make bombs. She knows, certain things that she knows. The rest of the world, she has no idea. I think there's a couple of questions about history or something comes up and she's just like, nope, I have no idea what you're talking about.
She built Jessica the Jeep. So, I mean, that was the most badass thing ever.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much for all the questions, and hopefully I answered them. Which reminds me, so we're having Seamus next, but if you have more questions for me, put them in the comments section, and I will go through them and do my best to answer them.
Well, and we are going to do another video here soon in the next week, probably. The reason being is Peter is going to be a part of another online con that's going to be happening October 31st. It is being hosted by Javin Bonds and Dee. And so he will be doing another one. So if we did not get to your questions this time, we will make sure that they get added to the next video. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being a part of this. And we look forward to seeing you on the Facebook today and in the future. So take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, Monica.
Bye.
If you're like me and you want stories that grip you, I would suggest The Edge of Hell. Human sacrifice, demons roaming the earth, and the gates of hell being flung wide is as gripping as it gets. It's one of the 40 novels I've written, all of which can be found by clicking the links below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks so much.